One thing you should know about working at the bell tower on 34th is the importance we place on vendor liability insurance. We require vendors working here to provide us with a certificate of liability naming the bell tower and Keep On Going LLC as additional insured. The minimum coverage should be $1 million per occurrence and $2 million in the aggregate. Now, we need the certificate at least 10 days before the event, and while most reputable vendors are insured, we realize that some people would rather ask a friend or family to help with their event. They ask their best friend's band to perform at their party, or they accept their aunt's offer to bake and decorate their wedding cake. If you're the friend or the family member who agreed to help, please understand that the bell tower policies covered in this video also apply to you. That said, we also know that since you don't make your living providing goods or services for events, that you probably won't be able to provide proof of liability insurance. In most cases, we will make an exception to our insurance requirements so your client can work with you. But please understand, we do our best to warn clients that they're taking a bit of a risk. So if something goes wrong at the event, if an uninsured vendor is responsible for someone or something being harmed, then the client will be financially responsible, not the bell tower on 34th. Another bell tower policy you should know about involves keeping us in the loop when it comes to vendors. We ask our clients to provide us with a complete list of the vendors who will play a role in their event, along with details like the vendor's contact information, the number of vendor staff members that will be attending the event, and how many meals will be needed, and when and where the vendor and their staff want to eat during the event. For example, they may want food from the buffet, or they may prefer eating in a separate room. By the way, special band rooms and vendor rooms are available for an additional fee based on availability. If you need one, please discuss it with your client as soon as possible. The bell tower also has a very firm policy about events that exceed agreed upon event times, whether they start early or run late. We take this very seriously. In fact, we've added language about it to our client contracts so everyone understands that any event that exceeds the start or end times in the client agreement will incur an automatic charge of $500 per hour per event room. There could be additional charges for required staff along with bar overtime charges, so please keep this policy in mind. Let's talk about when you'll be loading your products, equipment, and supplies into the bell tower on 34th and when you'll be removing them for breaking down. We ask vendors to plan to bring in what they need 2 hours before an event starts and to take their belongings out of the venue during the hour following the event. Even if your client or their planner suggests coming in earlier than 2 hours before an event, that's not a good idea. You may not be able to get on the property if you come too early. And even if you can, we don't want your arrival to interfere with other events here. So please stick with the agreed upon time frame for loading in and breaking down. When you come to work at our venue during an event, please dress professionally, not in jeans or a t-shirt. If applicable, your staff should be in uniform. If you arrive to find our gate is closed, please remain on the street with your hazard lights on while you call and ask us to open the gates for you. Tall vehicles are not allowed to enter in the main front driveway, so please check in or call ahead to have the service gate open for you. When you do get here, please park in the designated vendor parking area and ask your staff to do the same. Load in your equipment and supplies from the back of the building. Maybe you're planning to mail or deliver materials to us in advance. We receive quite a few deliveries. Unless you or our client give us advance warning, we have no way of knowing what those deliveries are or who they're for. Items should not be mailed to the bell tower without our knowledge ahead of time. Our shared client will find special instructions about how to send items to our venue in the resources section of the bell tower customer hub. Please coordinate with them. And please remember that the bell tower is not responsible for the items you send here. Now let's talk about your setup process. If you notice any damage to our facility, we need you to report it immediately. Anything that goes on the walls, floor, or ceiling needs to be pre-approved. You'll be responsible for bringing your own supplies, from extension cords to pins. While you and your team are here, please remember that use of alcohol by vendors or their staff is not allowed. We ask you not to smoke or vape in front of guests or in the front driveway areas. Please also don't carry trash through the ballroom during an event. As for breaking down at the end of an event, everything, including items used to decorate the venue, needs to be removed. Whatever vendors leave overnight becomes our property. All trash should be taken out and placed in the dumpsters. If you don't clean up after yourself, our shared client will be charged an additional $500 cleanup fee. It's in the contract, they agreed to it, so help them out. Okay, I'd like to address those of you who, for whatever reason, need to secure something to the floor, whether you have a band that will need to tape down cables or a business that provides carpet runners for weddings. If you need to tape something down, please stick with gaff tape. Pardon the pun. Other types of tape, duct tape in particular, damage our floors. And if that happens, our shared client will be responsible for covering the costs of restoring it. That means you'll have an unhappy customer on your hands. A few more thoughts for those of you bringing your sound equipment. If you need more than 3 dedicated 20 amp circuits, please make arrangements with the bell tower in advance. It shouldn't be a problem. We'll just want to know if you're planning to lay down additional extension cords, snakes, or other audio cables or control cables, and where they'll be going. Also, if you are responsible for providing some kind of audio-visual element for an event, please plan to test your audio-visual equipment and or conduct a sound check at least 30 minutes before guests are scheduled to arrive. This includes laptops, slideshows, live feed, music feed, and internet connections. Ideally, audio-visual testing should be in our client's event timeline. It would be helpful if you and the client discussed this far in advance. So far, DJs and sound crews have been very respectful of our requests, but I have empowered our managers to unplug those who aren't on board with us. As you and our client discuss options for their event, you both should know that the send-off or event finale cannot feature sparklers, fireworks, and fog devices of any kind, including haze machines. All of those things are prohibited on the premises, whether they're bought by the client, a guest, a vendor, or anyone else. In addition to our venue policies, some of our rules are governed by our local or state laws. For example, there are strict sound ordinances in our community. They rarely become an issue during events, but if you and our client have been talking about doing something special outdoors, from playing music to presenting a parade, please keep the sound ordinance in mind. For details about sound restrictions and possible fines, please see our online contract agreement and terms at thebelltoweron34th.com/terms. Along the same lines, we must adhere to the Texas Alcohol and Beverage Commission's rules about alcohol on our premises. Outside alcohol is not allowed. Anything other than alcohol provided by and served by our staff will be a problem. The alcohol will be confiscated and there will be an automatic fine per can or bottle. Not only that, the event could be closed down with no notice or refund. In addition, we do not offer individual shots of alcohol, and we don't provide alcohol by the bottle. And again, alcohol is poured exclusively by our staff. A word for those of you who are photographers or videographers. We understand that you often arrive with your own timeline and a list of shots you need to get. However, you need to understand that some photo opportunities may not be available when you want them. Part of the challenge is you are limited to the areas of the bell tower on 34th that are in our shared client's contract, usually specific rooms and possibly an outdoor area. It would be helpful if you touched base with your client or directly with us and passed along your goals for the event. When photographers and videographers work with us and respect our policies, we do our best to accommodate reasonable requests. We just have to take them on a case-by-case basis. Finally, I'd like to talk about situations outside of our control, from equipment malfunctions to acts of God that can interfere with your ability to support an event. The bell tower on 34th will not be responsible for those circumstances. You've been watching the bell tower on 34th's vendor video. We hope this resource has been helpful to you. We want you to know it's not our intention to make your job harder or get in your way. We want what you want, a happy client and an awesome event. We're looking forward to working with you.